Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you. And fun fact, this is actually the second time I'm recording this voiceover because I was like halfway done with it the first time and I ended up having this insane coughing fit. Like, you don't have to know that, but I just thought it was kind of funny, so I thought I would share. But anyways, I decided that I started out wanting to do a tiny home, and you can already see that that's not what I actually ended up with, which is also not uncommon if you've watched my other videos. I feel like I talk about that so much. I need to do an actual tiny home because I think it'd be really fun to do, but somehow my builds just always end up being a little bit too big. And I also like having like patio spaces and things like that, like a place for your sim to entertain, which the game a lot of times ends up thinking is part of, like, you know, the floor tile count. And so I don't know, I guess it's kind of fair, but not at the same time. But anyways, I know there's some tricks around it, but so this is technically not a tiny home, but it is meant for like 1 or 2 sims. And I wanted to do this like loft kind of look, which I think actually turned out really nicely. And you can see here, I used the windows and doors that we got with the new greenhouse kit. And I ended up kind of thinking I was going to do something like really modern, and then I was going to do a lot of like black and white in this build. But I know that I feel like I do that very often, and it could be just because I'm the one building. I feel like I do it really often, but I do actually end up incorporating actually a decent amount of color in here. Once I pick out a rug for the living room, I end up like incorporating more color in here, which I feel like it's just, I say that all the time too. Like, I like making black and white builds, and I also am like, oh, I found a rug. And that totally changed what I was doing, and it's a story of my life. But it is actually going to be the floral like rug from the high school kit. No, it's not a kit. High school expansion pack. Oh my goodness, y'all. I think this is what happens when I have to re-record a speed build. I forget what I've already said. Anyways. So I end up, you can see here, trying to put the kitchen over like by the back door. Like, I thought originally that would be a good place to put it, and then putting like the living room over in that like nook space by what's going to be the bathroom. But I do end up swapping it around because I had a hard time, to be honest, when I was putting in these counters. I thought, oh, well, I'll make this like the dining space here, like have them like sitting at the counter, but then like you're walking like in the front door, like right into like that bar area. And I was like, I don't know, this isn't gonna work very well. So I actually end up putting it over there by the bathroom instead, which I guess makes a lot of sense anyways in terms of building, because you'd probably want all of your plumbing to be near each other just for, you know, building purposes. Not that that matters in The Sims, but like I like to think about that stuff sometimes, and try to build it kind of realistically. And I will say that this isn't like a totally open floor plan either. It's a little more closed off than I feel like maybe I usually do, which I honestly have been thinking about that lately. Like, I should probably try to do some more builds that are a little more closed off, and like where the rooms are a little more separated, because like I feel like what I'm used to and like what I like in my own home is to have a slightly more open floor plan. But that's obviously like not everybody's experience, and that's not even like my the house I grew up in when I was little. Like, the rooms were all more separated, so I feel like, you know, that's something that like I need to actually try so that my builds aren't like super similar. And on that note, actually, please be sure to leave me a comment about stuff that you want to see on the channel or you want to see me attempt, because I'd love reading through your suggestions and writing them down in my notebook. Like, I really need to actually start doing ideas that are in my notebook. I feel like I like write them all down and then I end up like doing other things when I'm building. And I actually decided that I really didn't want to use a ladder here to get to the loft space. I don't know why, but I just didn't feel like it fit with what I was building. So we do actually end up using a full staircase, which again, like probably wouldn't have been doable like in an actual tiny home, but since that's not what I ended up doing, I figured that would be totally fine. And I do end up putting like a little office space over in that like a nook I created, which is really nice. Your sim has a space to work depending on like, you know, what they do for a career. And you can see here I pulled out that floral rug from the high school years pack, and that kind of changed the direction I was going in. So you can see I changed a bunch of the like clutter and like the curtains to kind of match that rug and maybe what the of this sim would actually have. So the space becomes a little more eclectic, and you can see I tried to use the new couch we got with the basement kit, but it just didn't quite fit exactly what I was trying to do. And I did actually start a build the day the kits came out, like with a home that had a greenhouse on it, but I have not yet finished it. That'll probably be out on the channel next week. I'll be finishing it up on my Twitch channel sometime this week, so next week it'll be on the YouTube channel. And I need to stop saying channel because that's very confusing. Like, I just need to say like Twitch and YouTube. And also I do actually stream over on Twitch, so if you want to come hang out with us while we build and just talk about Sims or kind of whatever, we like to just kind of hang out and chat for a little bit, be sure to check out the link in the description. We would absolutely love to have you. And so one of my lovely community members actually made me a sim self, and my husband and my mom, like, which is so much fun. Like, shout out to them. That was so amazing. And the reason they actually included my mom in that is my mom does actually stream with me about once a month. Like, so actually she will be streaming with me this week. So if you want to like meet my mom and come hang out with us, be sure to drop by while I'm streaming. We would love to say hello. And so, long story, I feel like I'm totally like in this roundabout like story, but I started making this build. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this build for maybe a grandmother, and they're gonna have a like separate greenhouse, and it's gonna be great. And then like one thing led to another, and all of the sudden we like decided that, you know what, this is going to be where my mom's sim self would live. So now that's going to be my mom's sim self house. And so we actually are going to finish building it this week, which is why it's not finished now. But I know that was a long story, but I just thought it was kind of funny. It like totally like changed as we were building it over on stream, but I like the way it's going, and it's so cute. It's like yellow and purple and like super bright and fun. But anyways, like, I don't know why I'm talking about another build while I'm currently building a home. So let's actually talk about this one. I ended up using the paranormal wallpaper kind of everywhere, and I love it so much. Honestly, that is probably one of my favorite wallpapers in the game. I don't know why, it's just so pretty, and it has those really pretty like gem colors, like that ruby and the sapphire, like, and all of those just like really saturated colors, and I just think that's so pretty. Because honestly, even though I was just talking about doing a lot of black and white builds, I really do love a lot of color. And even like in real life, I have a lot of color like everywhere in my home. And like right now, my nails are pastel rainbow. Like, I really do love color. So this is actually a lot of fun to do. And so I didn't put a ton of clutter here in the kitchen space because this wasn't huge, and I wanted to make sure your Sims could still cook. And in case you didn't know, your Sims can still cook on a corner counter. There is another counter here, so there shouldn't be an issue, but I just thought I would like mention that since not everybody knows that. And it's super helpful when you're actually building smaller homes, knowing that you can use just a corner counter for your Sims. You just have to make sure there's not a ton of clutter on it, which, you know, it can be hard for me sometimes, like, I'm not going to lie. And then we end up actually putting these curtains up here everywhere as well. And I end up using, I believe it was another high school year's bed. I'm trying to remember. I know I built this yesterday, like, but like, I don't know, all of a sudden I'm like second guessing whether it really was a high school year's bed. But I think I do end up using, oh yeah, it was this one. I love this one so much. Honestly, I love this swatch, and I felt like this worked really nicely in this space. And I also wanted to bring in a little more like of like leaves and greenery, which wasn't my intention when I started this, but this is where we ended up. But I think it turned out so nice. And I do end up using, I used it downstairs, I think, one of the new plants we got with the greenhouse kit, and I love that plant so much. I feel like I'm going to be using it a lot. And so just adding in here a bunch of clutter, and I know I ended up putting a rug, and I can't remember which rug I actually ended up using in this space. And over in the corner, that plant's actually from the Basement Treasures kit. I feel like people have like mixed feelings about that plant, but I honestly like it. Like, and it does have like a crack on it, but you can turn it around and like you can't see the crack, so you can kind of decide whether you want that like pot to have a crack or not. So you kind of, you know, you can do that according to how you're actually building. And you can see here I pulled in some of those like wall panels from Eco Lifestyle that have the plants on them, and I love them so much, but I feel like I a lot of times don't have a place to put them. Like, they don't match what I'm doing, but I think it turned out really nice. So up here we have a really nice like gathering like fire pit area with the grill and an easel. I tried to make sure that your sim does actually have stuff to do on this lot. And so actually in the backyard, we end up just putting two like lawn chairs back there so your sims can kind of lay out by the pool, but that's not like the main, I guess, entertaining space, which I feel like a lot of times I end up putting like the grill out by the pool, but I just kind of did things a little bit differently this time. And I ended up adding like a bunch of like really pretty flowers out here as well. And again, like I started with the idea of being a little more minimalistic, but you know what? We went for a bunch of flowers, which again shouldn't be surprising. I feel like I've been super into landscaping lately, so all of my builds have like a ton of landscaping on them. I feel like I need to just like work on some apartments maybe, so that way I'm not necessarily like doing just a ton of landscaping, but I just really do enjoy it. And I feel like it's been forever since I've done an apartment, but I think it was not that long ago. I don't know why it feels like it's been so long. Anyways, so just putting in a bunch of flowers out here and just kind of brightening up this backyard space as well. Like I said, we ended up putting two lawn chairs out here and like a little table. So, you know, your Sims can just kind of hang out back there, and there's still plenty of entertaining space even if like there's not like a table back there. But of course, if you want to download it is already on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID Spice and Sprinkles. So feel free to download it and change it however you see fit for your own gameplay. And let me know like if you download it and you're enjoying it and how you're using my builds. I would love to hear how you're utilizing my builds. And anyways, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.